Freight Every Day. I'm your host, Telly Arnold, the owner of TLA Group and the creator of Straight Connect. And I will introduce my business partner, Sharif Brooks.
Yes, how are you guys? I'm Sharif Brooks. I have 25 years driving experience, over the road experience, and 4 years of box truck. Glad to be here.
And we also have our co host as well, Derek with Fast Lane Trucking, who will introduce himself.
What's going on? It's Derek, Fast Lane Trucking, over a year experience, owner operator of Fast Lane Trucking. Also got DreamWorks South, DreamWorks TV. Do it all.
And our special guest today is Shanika Davis, the founder of S Class Solutions. And her quote is compliance isn't optional. Shanika, it's all yours.
Compliance isn't optional. Hello, 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 everyone. My name is Shanika Davis. Again, I'm the owner of S Class Solutions, where we do trucking solutions and compliance the S Class way.
All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Shanika.
So I am 41 years old. I am from Rockingham, North Carolina, a little small town in North Carolina. It's about an hour and 30 minutes from Charlotte, about an hour and 30 minutes from Raleigh. I have been a nurse. I've been in healthcare for 25 years, but I've been a nurse for about 14 years, almost 15 years. Um, and I came into the trucking arena as a freight dispatcher. And my business quickly took a turn. Probably about a year in, I had all these people that were coming to me for dispatching. But the funny part about it is the way I came into the trucking industry is kind of like a catch 22. So I came in as a freight dispatcher, but I started learning compliance before I actually learned how to actively freight dispatch.
Mm,
So while I'm marketing my business for freight dispatching, it seemed like everybody that was onboarding with me were coming in. They needed compliance more than freight dispatching. So it was
mm,
like my hands came became tied, right? So while everybody wants me to freight dispatch them and move their truck, I'm sitting here on the compliance side seeing everything that's actually wrong and you're not compliant. So it doesn't make sense to move your truck and then you're not compliant. So my business just really quickly took a turn into compliance. And I got into compliance and fell in love with it. And I've been stuck ever since.
Gotcha. So, what has been like your hardest part of being an entrepreneur and working full time? Because me and you just talked about that earlier, and we both are kind of the same boat.
Yeah. So part of my testimony is I went from making about $77,000 in nursing a year to getting completely frustrated with one of my clients. And I walked out of my job one day and I quit. I didn't go back. And I felt like that was the push that I needed to push me into entrepreneurship because I was building my business while I was working, but I felt like I wasn't dedicating enough time. So that one day, my patient, he just pushed me out the door and I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm just going to focus on my business, build my business, and push it forward. So I think the hardest thing for me was the income deficit, right? Yes, I had money saved up, but I don't think I grasped um, the full thought of, okay, what is it going to take to start this business without funding, right? So like I was bootstrapping. I was taking money that I was making from my nursing career and putting it into my business. So I was probably about 4 months out and I was like, ooh, I can't get used to this little bit of money, child. This ain't enough, right?
mhm,
Right.
So for me, it was the income deficit. Because I went from making about 77 to 78,000 a year to making probably less than a third of that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So then that's what got my wheels turning as far as the financial aspect of being a business owner. So I would say that was probably the hardest part. And then for me, being as independent as I am and being as private as I am, the hardest thing for me was learning how to accept help from other people that were actually offering help. right?
Right.
That was one of the hardest things because I'm one of those people. Move out the way, I'll do it myself. So, but I learned so many things along the way. So I would say definitely the income deficit and learning how to accept help when offered.
Right. I can definitely, I have those sentiments. I think for me, what kind of helped me is when I became an admin of the Box Truck Hustle group on Facebook, and I met Derek and other people in the industry, and I didn't feel so alone on some of the struggles because those mechanical bills was whooping our tails like left and
Yeah.
right, and I was just like, we done bought another lemon. We already had one lemon, and when I would talk to other people, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not the only one going through this, so it
Mm-hmm.
kind of it kind of helps, as especially in this trucking industry, to have those niche of people that you could talk to, because everybody don't understand your journey, especially entrepreneurs. People don't understand you,
Absolutely.
and you're spending this money and you don't see a return on your
Mm.
investment. And when you talk to other people, it kind of keeps you going along the way because you're struggling, like mentally it's a struggle.
Yes, ma'am.
But
That's
also,
that's one thing that helped. Go ahead,
I'm
Sheree.
so I'm
Sheree.
sorry, Miss Davis, but you touched on something that hit my heart. Is that when you stop working at your job and the income that you were used to stopped, and then you start chasing your dream, it can be an emotional struggle.
Oh boy.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? You can second guess yourself. So it's good to hear somebody else that's going through it. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
bless you,
Mm-hmm.
bless you.
Absolutely. I that was I think that was I definitely went through an emotional roller coaster because being in nursing, so I worked through COVID. I worked two jobs through COVID the whole time.
Hmm.
And I just went to work one day. I broke down on the way to work today, one day, and I started crying. And I was like, "There's got to be something. This ain't it. I was not born to just pay bills and die. Okay, it's got to
Hmm.
be something else." But I
Right.
also feel like my human rights were stripped during COVID as a nurse. And I got burnt out, and I started losing my passion for nursing. So I
Hmm.
prayed and I asked God to give me something different. I got to do something different.
Right.
And I thought about that thing and I said, if I had my own business, I would not be under this type of pressure. I would not be feeling like I'm being violated, because I felt violated in a major way. And I kept thinking about that thing, and I just literally I took that step and I just said, I'm tired. I want something of my own. I want something that I can build that can gain me that freedom that we hear being talked about in America every day.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, if you want it bad enough, I think you'll do it by all any means necessary. But anybody who's considering starting a business, I think that it's just going to boil down to how bad you want it. Are you willing to put in the work? Are you willing? It's boots on the ground, baby, all day, every day.
Hmm.
Exactly.
See,
You
Exactly.
that's
cannot
the
be lazy.
problem that I
So,
always when I always talk to people, like they have this inkling of a thought that working for yourself ain't work. Like
mm,
you're gonna do more work working for yourself than you working for a job. A job is gonna give you a task or two, and that's your singular focus. When you work for
hmm,
yourself, you handle payroll, you handle human relations, you handle, the employee, you handle everything. So it's like you're never asleep. Your phone is never not by your side, like whether it's
hmm,
trucking or whatever business that you're going to. And people
Hmm.
just think that it's
that's
just
right.
it's yes, it's a level of freedom because you're working for yourself. But to get it off the ground, to get it to where you want to get it to where you can delegate stuff off to other people, that's gonna take a
Hmm.
whole lot of work.
It's the work
Yeah.
behind closed
So,
doors that nobody
Absolutely.
sees. It's the
yes,
no reward. That's why it's good to have a business partner sometimes, somebody that's doing it with you, to be able to say you
yes,
did a good job sometimes. But when you're by yourself,
yes,
you got to do that yourself. So
Yep.
I can
absolutely.
imagine that.
Yeah.
And it's
Yes.
crazy that we
My
even talking to
community
you
is
because
what kept me going. My
Mm.
community, Trucking with a Purpose community, shout out to Dominique Ballard. I've been a part of her community for two and a half years. And what kept me going was those days that I knew that I had my girls on the other side that was doing the same thing I was doing. They was putting in the same amount of work I was putting in. We come
Mm.
together once a week, twice a week. We talk about it, we vent it out, we hash it out, and we on to the next thing. Emotional roller coasters. I'm talking about being depressed. But what I had to learn was I had to show up when I did not feel like it. When I did not feel like it. Again, Sharif, when you feel like the money not coming in fast enough. The money, I need to see the money. We hear about all these people starting companies, and we see people on social media. Most of it be capped. We know
Yeah.
that. But let's talk
Yeah.
about the reality of it. Let's talk about the
Yeah.
reality of it. Nobody talks about the depression. Nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about how it takes 3 to 5 years to build a solid entrepreneurial foundation, when it comes to your business. I'm 3 years in, so I know for a fact that I still got about 2 solid years left to fully, shape and
Mm.
mold. And
Right.
I'm to the point now where I got clients coming in so often that I need to hire somebody. I need to hire somebody. But
Okay.
I'm like, I am such a perfectionist, y'all, and that's something that I had to break myself from that, because
Yeah.
that I was my own worst enemy. And I was taught to do things right the first time and you won't have to go back and keep doing it over. Well, I noticed early on in my entrepreneurial journey that was crippling me, because I got a real good relationship with my Lord Jesus Christ, and when the Holy Spirit get to speaking, baby, you got to do what he tell you to do.
I hear you.
So he had to keep reminding me, you need to give yourself grace. You are new at this. This is
Right.
foreign to you, just like nursing was foreign to you when you started nursing. You have to give yourself grace. It is not going to happen overnight. Like, it was just all these things he was downloading in me. And I mean, he had to break me. So a
Yeah.
lot of people don't understand that entrepreneurship is a spiritual journey, because now you're depending on you and
Mhm.
and whatever God you believe in, but now you're depending on you. Now, I'm like, I ain't gonna never let me down.
Right.
Mm.
So it's either sink or swim. So
Yeah.
my community is what helped me get through the tough times.
Yeah, I like I said, finding the Box Truck Hustle group and the admins and moderators, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
because we kind of worked on a curve. Sharif had the 25-year CDL knowledge. I had the business side, but the trucking is
Mm-hmm.
that gray area that,
Mm-hmm.
and when you're in a box truck, the compliance piece of it, I'm like, okay, what all do we got to do to be compliant? I'm
Mm-hmm.
listening to him for the hours of service and what goes on the
Yes.
road. And then I'm over here
Mm-hmm.
struggling, like, okay, what I got to do with FMCSA? You know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm.
speaking of that, what exactly is trucking compliance? Can you, like, give us, especially for box trucks owner carriers who will be listening, who are just getting into this?
So to break it down in layman's terms, right? Compliance, or trucking compliance, is where, whether it's a CDL trucking company or a non-CDL trucking company, compliance is making sure that either of those two trucking companies are adhering to the state and federal regulations, laws that the DOT and FMCSA set for everybody's safety, right?
Right.
So the issue that I have, it ain't even so much my CDL guys, y'all. It's them box trucks. Ooh, they aggravate me, y'all. They get on my nerves. They get on my nerves because they feel like, oh, I ain't got a CDL. I'm good. I don't have to. I can do what I want to do on the road. Lies from the pits of
Mm-hmm.
hell.
Right.
And I feel like, and so I am a little bit more strict on my non CDL guys, or my box truck guys, because just because you don't have a CDL does not mean that you are not regulated. They feel like they're not regulated. They're
Right.
not as heavily regulated as your CDL holders or your CDL trucking companies, but you are regulated, and they very much still do have to adhere to the hours of service as it pertains to trucking compliance or
Mm-hmm.
the trucking industry. And they feel like they don't have to, and they do.
Yes, they
And
do.
I just had a guy call me today. He's like, I got violations. I got hit with a couple violations. I need some help. I need your help bad. So he started telling me what the violations were. You know, he had a little drug violation, a little weed, little alcohol violation. He got a little cell phone violation. So I'm like, that burns me up, because that's the first thing they think. I don't have a CDL. I'm in a box truck, so I can do what I want to do. That means I can smoke on the road. I can smoke. I can chill. I can roll up in the truck. I can smoke half my blunt on the way to where I'm going and smoke the other half after I get offloaded. I'm just going to be doing what I want to do, right? But that is not the case. And I'm going to just go ahead and be quite transparent. If I was a box truck owner, if I was a box truck company owner, I don't care if they are not required to be drug tested. If you're going to be in my equipment, I'm drug testing you.
Right.
Because they don't understand the severity of the violations, especially if you're working for someone else. Okay, it's one thing for you to do what you want to do as the owner operator of your own equipment and trucking company, MC Authority, but it's a whole other ball game when you're operating under somebody else's authority, or if you're driving for somebody else, right? It's a whole other ball game when you start getting violations, because those violations are not only going to affect you as the driver, but more importantly, they're going to affect the owner of the company. Okay, so when you get hit with these violations that start anywhere from $1,500 per day per violation, let's do the math on that. Anywhere starting at $1,500, it can be higher than that, but I know violations can start anywhere from $1,500 a day per violation. So if you're getting 4 and 5 violations at $1,500 a pop, you do the math.
Right.
And then not only if those violations are not paid, if the fees and penalties are not paid, those violations can increase up to $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 until it's paid in full. And then what you got going on? You're going to be put out of service. You're going to be shut down until those fees and penalties are paid. And then we can go even deeper. Let's say you got a CDL driver, right? If you got a CDL driver and they pop positive for a drug test or a drug screen, they got to be removed from that trucking company immediately. They got to be moved from all safety sensitive functions or job functions immediately. So they have to be moved from that truck right then. Okay. Gotcha. Then they got to be put into a substance abuse program. They have to pass so many drug tests before they can come out. And that can take anywhere from 1 to 5 years, depending on the severity of the violation.
Right.
So I think that people jump into the trucking industry, and again, Telly, you just said it before we went live, not knowing. There's a huge deficit. There's a huge knowledge deficit on the importance of coming into the trucking industry. And that is why so many people go out of business overnight. Yeah. Because they're jumping into it and they don't understand. They don't understand the numbers. They don't understand how it works. They don't understand how the insurance works. They don't understand what leasing on means. They don't understand, what it means to pay $1,200, $1,300 a week to lease a truck or rent a truck if you don't own a truck. Right. They don't understand their fuel costs. They don't know. They don't understand.
So let me go back to that one part when you said like a non-CDL driver may get a violation. It doesn't follow non-CDL drivers, correct? Because they don't have a CDL. So if they get because one struggle we have in our space is that abandonment. You're abandoning our truck. It doesn't follow them on their driver's license. If they get an hours of service violation, how do we check that? Like I'm really trying to figure that out.
So the hours of service violations are more so going to fall on the owner of the company, on the MC, right? Correct. So now you can fight those violations, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing about fighting a violation is just like going to court. If you don't have your evidence that support that you were in the right, then it's just going to be there. And so, but the good thing about a violation is about the severity and the weight of it decreases over time. So it's just like a hard inquiry on your credit. So after so many months or so many years, that hard inquiry it don't hit you as hard.
Gotcha. So
that's how a violation works when you get a violation against your MC authority. Now you can, and this is the thing, a violation, whether you fight it, whether you fight it, which is doing the data queue, whether you fight it or not. So it doesn't matter if you fight it and you were found, it's not removed.
Yeah. It doesn't fall off after 2 years. Like if you get a
yes,
Three.
it falls
Yeah.
off after so many years, and so but again, it's like a hard inquiry, so the weight of it kind of fades
goes
off.
back. Okay.
So you can fight it all day long, but that doesn't mean that it's gonna fall off after you present your evidence and all the things. So whether you're in the right or not, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, so for us, we
so-
had an hours of service violation with one of our drivers. It'll be 2 years in February of 2027. So, they're gone on about their business, but I'm like, yeah, we're still attached to that
You're
hours
still
of
dealing
service.
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it hasn't
Yeah,
really
and that's why-
affected us, but I know we get ready to renew our insurance, hopefully, because it's the age of it. And our insurance is about to renew next month. That it's not, it doesn't hit us too hard.
Right, and that's another thing. A lot of people don't understand. I got a client right now. She told me, she said, I'm due to renew my insurance. She said, but I've been calling around getting quotes and nobody will hardly work with me. She said, I got 2 companies that'll work with me, Progressive and another company I had never heard of. And she said, Progressive told me that my insurance was going to run me $13,000 a month. And I said, wait a minute. I said, do you mean $13,000 a year? She said, no, a month.
For how many
And
trucks?
I was like, that's ridiculous. One truck.
Ooh.
And I said, and I asked her, I said, okay, did they tell you why?
That
And
driver.
she said, yeah, the driver. It was the driver. He had all kind of stuff on his MVR. And he was super young, so they looked at him as like an inexperienced driver. I said, there's no way. She said, I'm telling you. So I told her best bet is going to, and her MC number is damaged. Like she's on the do not use list, like broken.
Oh God.
So I'm like, girl, you just at this point just start a new MC.
Yeah.
Was
it a box truck? Was it a box truck?
She's got a box truck.
Ooh.
And her MC authority is 6 months. And I'm like, okay. I said, let's look at it this way. I said, you're 6 months in. I said, you're not too far out to where I can see if you had, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years authority. I said, but baby, you only got 6 months. Let that little 6 months go and start over.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality of it, because nobody on God's good green earth can afford $13,000 a month in just trucking insurance.
But the big red flag of it all is that driver is her family. That's her son or somebody, her husband or somebody. Because that's exactly what it is. That's where the problem is. Because whoever that driver is, been messing up that MC for 6 months, and she's still trying to get him to drive. So we need to find out who he is to her.
I don't know who it is. It could be baby daddy, cousin, girlfriend, boyfriend.
Yeah. He important.
Okay,
so,
who it is?
I don't know, but I know that he was one of the main reasons why her insurance is. And I said, baby, you got to let him go. You need to find a new driver. You need to find a new driver, and you need to get a new MC authority. It's going to be cheaper for her to get a new MC authority. I told her from the guy, I said, look, at this point, it's going to be cheaper for you to get a new MC authority. And that's just the reality of it, because you're losing money just by not being able to use the MC authority that you already have.
Exactly. Get rid of the old authority and the old driver.
And
Let's
it's
start
like,
fresh.
It's not like balling with a 6 month authority anyway. Like the difference.
That's what I'm saying.
The difference in loads ain't that great.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
and like I told her, I said, yeah, you might have to start from scratch, but there are some brokers that will work with new authorities. TQL will get you on through now, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
So but I would start over.
I would too. Yeah.
It's crazy that we even talking to you, because I literally had a conversation a couple weeks ago with
I can't really hear you,
with
Derek.
a dispatcher who was literally talking about like they just been losing clients because they ain't in compliance. Something that happened. they'll not have their hours of service right, or whatever the situation may be. And I literally told them, I said, you ever thought about like paying to, teach to make sure these people are in compliance before they even start working with you, or even if they don't work with you, even if they go work with somebody else, just offer
Mhm.
like a compliance thing, and then to hear from you. What I know you said you dispatched before.
Mhm.
What made you just I don't know if you still dispatch, but what made you just go full into just like the consulting part and like put the dispatching to the side if you did?
Because I saw the deficit. Like everybody that was coming to me to dispatch them just they would just tow it from the floor up, y'all. They didn't know anything.
It
Like,
sounds just
okay,
like my
case in
friends.
point. Case in point. Let's talk about it. I was dispatching this guy, right? Now, when I dispatched, I did not onboard local carriers. You had to either be OTR or regional, right? I onboarded him and I got him when he was in Texas. So I just started moving. I just started moving the truck. So within like a week, we had been to Texas, we had been to Arizona, we had been to Wisconsin, Chicago. I had them all over the place. One day we had got stuck and he was like, it ain't no loads moving. I said, I know. I said, let me get on the load board and see what's going on. Get on the load board, find him a great load. Load was like $1,800 going like, I believe it was like 500 or 600 miles. It wasn't too bad at all. And we needed to get moving. So I was like, shoot, we gonna take this load. I get on the phone with the broker. The broker said, man, he said, we're not going to be able to use the MC authority. He said, it says that you're intrastate, not interstate. And I said, there's no way, because I onboard over the road carriers and regional carriers only. He said, I'm serious. He said, go and look. So I go to the company snapshot, I pull it up, and for sure, his authority, it had changed from interstate to intrastate. Don't know how, don't know why, don't know what happened. Mind you, his home base was in Georgia. He was in like South Dakota, North Dakota.
That man.
So I'm on the phone with the driver, and I called the owner first, and I let him know what was going on. I'm like, hey, we can't use your MC authority. Like you're supposed to be intrastate. I said, I know you're interstate, but on FMCSA it says you're not supposed to be outside the state lines of Georgia. This man goes behind my back. Don't ask me how he did it. He goes behind my back. The driver said, hey, did you just book us a load? I said, I was trying to book you a load, but it was an issue with the authority. And he was like, well, such and such just booked the load. And he just gave me the address where to go pick it up at. And I'm like, he finna get an email, and I'm getting ready to cut him off because now you're out of compliance. So I'm not, because I told him, I said, you need to be trying your best to be making your way back to Georgia. I said, if you get pulled and you get stopped, they're gonna hit you they're gonna put you out of service. He didn't pay attention to nothing that I said. So I said, all right, I can no longer manage your compliance. I can no longer dispatch for you. Because I was still in the process of building the compliance. I hadn't even started the full compliance business yet. So I told him, I am not going to be able to move your truck because you're out of compliance. I said, and you're going to get hit with a violation. And my thing is, I pull myself from that situation because the first thing they're going to do when they get hit with a violation or they're not making any money is they're going to say, oh, well, Shanika was my dispatcher, you know what I'm saying? S-Class Solutions, that's my company, they ain't making me no money. So at the end of the day, especially when you're in business, your name, you got to stand on that. Your name is all you got.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he was willing to be compliant, and non-compliant and was okay with that, I couldn't allow myself to be attached to that. So I saw so many different, all of my carriers that I were on board, and I was spending more time straightening out compliance than I was moving their trucks. So at that point, they was like, look, one guy, he was like, look, right now, he was like, I just need to focus on compliance. I need to make sure this is right first, because how can I make money? How can I make money on the back end with an MC authority if the compliance that's attached to it is not aligning with success? I was like, I'm glad you understand.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up transitioning fully over into compliance, because that gap, that education, that ignorance gap, it was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad, and they just, I mean, they just don't know. So I'm always teaching and trying to put different stuff out there, put knowledge out there, educate people, and just kind of nurture them a little bit, because they're out here and they don't know. They're losing money. Some of them going broke. Some of them like, man, my trucking company about to get shut down. I can't make no money. It's just, that's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
But Miss Davis, some CDL drivers can put themselves when they get like when you get your physical and you go
Hmm.
to the DPS and turn your paperwork in. They ask you, are you intrastate or interstate? Like the driver got to put
Yep.
down. But we not. But I
Hmm.
know we're box trucks, and Class C don't have to even worry about that. But sometimes that's why I wonder maybe that driver was a Class A, and he went down there and renewed his physical and put the wrong paper, intrastate on there, and then now when they pull you over, the driver doesn't supposed to be
It's separate
drive
from
the
your MC
thing
though.
because the
It's separate
MC
for
can
your
be
MC.
gotcha, but
Yeah.
it
I
can be
know
the
it,
same
Yeah.
result,
and
you
it
Your
might
know.
just be a
MC.
Georgia
In
thing
his
because
case, it was something with the insurance.
Oh
Something had to
yeah,
do with
God.
Probably
because
insurance.
cheaper.
mine
So he
changed.
had to end up calling his insurance company and straightening it out with the insurance company, and then the insurance company had to resubmit paperwork to the FMC and saying, that take anywhere from 24 to 48 hours.
My,
So
Yeah.
mine did that
that was
too.
the issue.
My MC it changed from interstate to intrastate, and it also added that I had a power unit, like and I'm
Is that
like,
when you
Mm,
switch over from Modus from FMCSA to Modus, or that was just
no, no,
on
no,
F?
this was early on. This was like I probably was only like 3 months in
Yeah.
to my authority, and a broker told me I called it, and I did like Shanique said. I had to contact my insurance company. I think the insurance sent something or updated something with the FMCSA, and I don't know if it just glitched up with it, but it changed it. I'm like, I don't have no
Power.
18 wheeler. Like I don't have a power unit. Like, and then it changed my thing from interstate to interstate, and then they had to go back in there and change it. I
Yeah, I
had to
think for
touch
us, we only switched when we first signed up. We were intra, interstate.
because
Then
we
when
had
we,
that Lowe's.
yeah, no, well, yeah, I switched us when we went to Lowe's. That's when I switched us to
Gotcha,
local. I get
gotcha.
them mixed up.
I
Hmm.
guess
But I
Hmm.
switched it to local, and then when we went back
Hmm.
OTR, I had to go get my pen. Like I had to go call
Hmm.
FMCSA, get my pen. Then I had to
Hmm.
switch it back, and yeah, so we've only switched ours I think twice. When we went Lowe's and then back OTR, and
Exactly.
yeah,
Hmm.
so
FMCSA they can see the history. So
yeah, yeah,
it's hard, but they saw that
Yeah.
I never put in a attempt to switch it. So I don't know if it's
Hmm.
a niche or something. I said maybe it's a Georgia thing. You said your driver was from Georgia too, right?
ah,
Yeah, he was
I
from
don't,
Georgia.
I don't know what
And
happened.
and since we're on that topic from a compliance standpoint, so let's talk about it, because you have a lot of people that are out here that want to get into the industry, and everybody's saying, "Oh, I can start your trucking company. I can start your trucking company. I can do this. I can do that." Just because somebody say they can start a trucking company, that doesn't mean that they can start a trucking company. Because just like you said, Derek, they said on your stuff, it said that you had a power unit and all this other stuff. Okay, when you're starting a trucking authority, all of that stuff is specified within the application.
mm,
So if that person don't know certain things or certain applications as it relates to starting a trucking company, they're not gonna know, because you don't know how many people in this world don't know what interstate mean versus intrastate.
me, me,
Hmm.
me.
Majority
So
of them don't know.
Hmm.
Me, Sharif
I,
had to tell
I've
me when
been
I was
list,
going through it.
and I've been driving 25
I
years, and
I
every now and then
learned
I'll be like, which one is it? I
I
want to go
learned while I
everywhere,
was
and then
setting up
they'll tell
while
me.
I was setting up the authority. That's when I learned what it was.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
right. So
yeah.
I have a lot of people come to me and they be like, man, when somebody so and so, I had somebody start my trucking company, and they put that I was in trust state, and I'm supposed to be over the road, and half the time they've been on the highway the whole time and supposed to be within the state lines, and I'm like, Lord have mercy.
So let me ask you, Shanika, when I went through my first safety audit of my paperwork,
let's
when I
talk about
tell you,
it.
honey, let me tell you, I think I sweated bullets. I
Did you
had
pass?
preliminary, I'm gonna say a no, because the one thing we missed, and it was confusion in Texas, was the safety what was it called, inspection, what's it called, Sharif?
Mm-hmm.
State inspection of the truck.
Hmm.
Right.
So when we went to go renew the registration, I'm used to, you have to get your inspection, then you get your registration. But I was able to just go buy the registration. Well, the inspection didn't expire until like 2 months after the registration
Mm-hmm.
was renewed. So when it was time for me to go through my safety audit, I had just
Mm-hmm.
missed it. And I was like, oh, we don't have to get inspection. She's like, yes, ma'am, you got to get that truck inspected every
Yeah, you
year.
have to get inspected. Yeah.
So I had, everything was good, but I think 2 or 3 months after that, I had to keep bugging them. Can you please tell me if I passed? Because we went to
Yeah.
go get it. We got this. What did we get, Sharif? The state inspection and then the
And
federal.
federal, yeah,
Yeah,
state and
we
federal.
did both. Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
this year we were good. I
Oh
was
yeah.
good.
So this wasn't the new entrant safety audit. This was like a DOT audit,
Yeah.
or was
Yes.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think
So
it
yeah, you
said
knew.
new entrant, but it was like whatever the email. I have to go find the email because our MC was still not even a year at that time.
It
So
was
it
getting
was
ready to
probably
be
It
that
was getting
first
ready to
year.
be a year.
That
yeah,
first
yeah.
year
It was
audit.
probably your new entrant. Yeah, your new entrant safety audit. So you have to have that truck inspected. You probably know this now, once a year.
Yeah, I know now.
So, but then when you buy a truck though, you got to get the state inspection, you got to
Mm-hmm.
get the federal inspection, and then because you got to submit all of that stuff when you get ready to get your IRP and all that. But y'all box trucks,
Right.
y'all don't need IRP. So, but yeah, you got to get those inspections.
Yeah, we did the Sharif went got the federal, so I was like, oh, we got federal. They was like, you got to still get the Texas, the state one.
Yep,
So we had to go
yep.
back. He had to go
Hmm.
back and go get the state, and he was like, but I did federal. I was like, they said we gotta have state.
You got to
Hmm.
have state too. Yep. Yep, that
Yeah,
is a fact. And I
yeah.
think a lot of people, that's the thing, y'all. Like a lot of people coming, like, so say for instance, I get a new client, right? Now, don't get me wrong. Most of my clients that come to me, I tried to be this prim and proper compliance specialist to where like, oh, all of my clients, they're established, their compliance is already in order, they're aligned. No. Everybody come to me with problems. I have everybody like compliance be in shambles.
Yeah,
And I be
yeah,
like, I guess this is what I signed up for. Come on here, child. Let me help you with this stuff. Stuff like that. But that's because they just don't understand the importance of compliance. Compliance is the one and only thing in trucking that is going to make or break your trucking company.
correct.
If your trucking company is not compliant, you can be shut down overnight. It is cheaper to be in compliance than out of compliance. My goal is to always help my clients stay compliant, stay within the ramifications of the federal regulations, rules, the law, so that they can save money.
Right.
Because they don't realize that, yes, when you first start getting your compliance straightened out, you're going to spend some thousands.
Yeah.
You're gonna spend some money because now you gotta get everything in line. I tell my clients all the time, trucking is not a cheap man's sport. It's not a cheap man industry. If you have a cheap person mentality, the trucking industry is not for you. Trucking is not for you.
So
And so
what?
to get your
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
so to get that compliance up and running and aligned the way to get that good solid foundation, you're gonna spend some thousands.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
truth.
I want to ask so people are aware, like what paperwork should someone have? Like for one, in the truck we have a binder with everything in there, but I think it would be good for you to explain that. And then also when I went through the safety audit of my paperwork, I think I'm saying that right. Uh, the applications, the roadside test, the driving, the MVR. How important are those things to have as a carrier owner?
So first of all, you do so I like to call it the cab folder or cab notebook or whatever. You should have your cab card in that folder, the COI, the certificate of authority. You also need to go a step further and make sure you have that DQ file, right? That driver qualification file. You need to have a that driver qualification file that's going to have your drivers CDLs, right, or driver's license, their med card, their MVR. Um, you need to have those things in the truck, because what's going to happen is, in the event your driver gets pulled over for a roadside inspection, ain't no looking for a whole lot of papers. Everything is right there in that notebook. I just sent out an email last week, a checklist, because I create all type of checklists and I send them out to my carriers. Use this to keep your files organized inside the truck. In the event you get pulled over for an inspection, roadside inspection, whatever the case may be, all you got to do is grab that notebook and hand it to the officer. That's it. That's going to be half your battle right there.
Yeah.
Now, what they find, and this is what I've learned. Now, if they look in that notebook and certain things are not in there, they going to just keep digging and digging and digging and digging until they find stuff. And they're going to find something, whether it's your tire tread, whether it's broken tail light, whatever it is. So it's just having that stuff in the cab is half the battle.
Sharif,
because now you're not scraping for stuff, you're not scrimping for stuff, but having those documents in there, and so even with the driver qualification file, it's just good to have that in there. And I would have one for every driver that operates that one piece of equipment.
Right.
And so it's there, because the driver might not know. He might not even have his license, might be somewhere lost down the street somewhere. He don't even know it.
Right.
But that's what I even tell my son, when a cop pull you over, you need to have everything. You don't need to be saying or I can't, or it was here. Everything needs to be bound, license and registration, insurance, like you said, cab card for CDL driving. And when you do that, that tells them a lot, because they looking for paperwork, but they looking for you at your demeanor and everything. And if you over there fumbling and don't know where your paperwork, to them that's like, okay, you're not used to this. Why are you driving?
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right. So it opens the door to every other thing. They strip you naked.
Because I think you even said they asked you, where did you pick up at? Where you delivering to?
Oh yeah. And you gotta say it quick. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the rules are different in trucks, and a lot you got to tell those non-CDL drivers that too, because they have the same mentality that they're in cars. They can pull you over for no reason. They can pull you over because they were bored, and they can tell you that I was bored. I saw you. I just wanted to pull you over and F with you, and they'll tell you that. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta accept it. So you can't be arguing back and forth. It's better to smile and have your information, and most of them will let you go. But you give them attitude, the slightest, they'll ruin your day.
They'll ruin your day. They'll try to ruin that MC number too. They'll try
You
to
ain't
ruin
lying.
that bar too.
Exactly.
If they find it, oh baby, they writing it down. They document it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
So how important do you think it is keeping digital records of everything? Do you think that's important, or you think it's more old school, having paper, or what do you think?
Both of them.
Both. Okay.
And I'm saying that because I'm saying that from a nursing perspective as well as a compliance specialist, because power ain't guaranteed every day.
Yeah, that's the fact.
Mm.
Because they used to tell you to keep that ELD. They used to tell you to keep that ELD paperwork in there in case it went down. Now you don't have to keep that in your bind. You don't have to keep that no more. Yeah. A
smart company owner is going to be prepared for it all.
Right.
So in that binder also needs to be a logbook, or in the glove box it needs to be a logbook in the event that ELD goes down, because that's just like, I remember one day my girls was dispatching, DAT load board went down, didn't come up for the whole day, but because they had spreadsheets and had broker lists that they had created with established brokers, they were able to move every single truck off what they already had and did not have to rely on the load board.
Yeah.
Now, I do think now it might seem a little bit redundant to have to keep digital files and hard copy files, but if something goes down, then you gotta still, because this is the thing about the FMCSA DOT, baby, they don't care nothing about excuses.
Yeah.
If they ask for something, they need it, they want it.
Exactly. Yeah.
When it comes to the ELDs and the logging of like records of duty status and things like that, if that ELD goes down, then it would be in the best interest of whoever's operating that truck to be able to at least just write down mileage and the hours just to have it, right?
Yeah.
Because we do know that the record of duty status inside the ELD, we know that can be manipulated to a certain extent, and still be within legal ramifications. But if you go in there and you get to tampering with that ELD, and you get hit with a roadside inspection, and that officer say, hey, I need you to transmit these records over to me now, here's the code, then they're gonna be able to distinguish the difference between somebody tampering with their ELD for falsification of documents, right, or records of duty status, versus somebody going in there and saying, or your driver saying, hey, I drove for 8 hours, I took a 30-minute break at this time, and you going in and you're putting that information in as they wrote it, as they documented it, right? There's a difference between that versus them going in there and illegally tampering with records of duty status in that ELD. So I do think that we all need to get in the habit of keeping hard copies.
Yeah.
Keeping files, keeping folders in a locked file cabinet, and making sure your records are organized and locked tight within your computer.
And you know what else I'm gonna put in the little binder? You put a nice crisp $100 bill. That way when they open it up, I could be like, oh, I've been looking for that. Oh, is that $100?
Yeah.
You know, all of a sudden they letting you go. You know, hey, you know. He go in there and be like, well, you know, I've been looking for that money. You know, I've been starving. You know, I come with a story. You know, what was that in that binder?
I can't with you.
Was that in the binder, really? Oh, that'll be something else.
Look, no, that's just my little emergency money.
Exactly. Is that where I put it?
That's my bonus for you.
No.
Well, I know when I went through that safety audit, they pulled up our ELD right there. They pulled it up right there. And she going through it. Okay, y'all. Okay, I see you had an hours of service violation. I said they're no longer work for us. Yeah. So
I sat in the truck with the guy, and he broke it down. He had it on the laptop. He had it right there.
Yeah. And so that's why I'm saying they can tell. They are trained and they can tell. So you know, so we were talking about violations earlier, right? So you can submit a plan of action. So that would have been your plan of action to say, okay, he gone. He don't work for us no more. So that's just that's creating a paper trail and showing the FMCSA, showing DOT like, hey, this person realizes and understands that they were in violation and they corrected the problem. So that makes you look good as a company owner, which that kind of keeps them off your tail, because once you get to the point you start getting hit with all these violations, baby, you got a big red flag on the top of your truck and on the back of the door, because now they really about to start messing with you.
Right.
So that's why it's so important to keep your compliance gridlock, because once you start getting all these violations and you start getting pulled over, they're gonna keep on pulling you over. They're gonna keep on. It's like you're gonna get railroaded, because now you're considered high risk. You're considered a high risk trucking company on the road, and now they got to stay on your tail to make you. And so now with that, now you're spending more money. Now you're spending more money. You're trying to figure out what need to be paid. Now you got to go and pay somebody like me to fix the problem for you, so that you can kind of get them off of your back.
Gotcha.
So
Best Western is a company that has that reputation of You know, if you drive for them, just let any CDL drivers listening. If you get on with Best Western, they have that reputation with FMCSA because they hire they kind of like a crooked company. They hire somebody that's non-compliant and they pay them less,
High
and
risk.
they high, like you say, yeah, high risk. They hire them and pay them less. So that's one
Mm,
company I wouldn't start off with or work for.
gotcha.
My
Gotcha.
motto is let the money be the motive, but do not let the money be the reason you go out of business.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. As we get close to ending out the show, if somebody wanted to work with you, Shanika, how could they like reach out to you to like maybe schedule a consultation? Is I don't know how your operation works, so maybe you could say that.
So they can either visit my website. It's
Mhm.
sclass-solutions.com. That's where they can go in. They can book any type of consultation they need. They can book any type of service they need. We have a store within our website. But their best bet would probably be book a call with me or through our website, or you can follow me on Instagram at sclass_solutions. I do post a lot of educational content, a lot of educational videos, clippings, different updates of what's going on in the trucking industry, important dates that people need to remember, and things like that. You can also follow me on Facebook. Just type in, do a search, S Class Solutions, and we'll pop right up. We do also offer a free community on Facebook, S Class Solutions. You can just do a search on it, and join the community. You can ask questions in there. You can post whatever you want to post in there. I post educational content there too. So there's a lot of different ways that you can connect with us. But I'm more on Instagram than Facebook a lot of times. But I do post on both of. I try to post on both of them daily, just to keep people educated on what's
I
going on
post
in the
on
industry.
everything. Everything.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So I would like
yeah.
to, I would like, we were talking earlier, I was telling you about Straight Connect, and I am doing like free educational webinars monthly.
Hmm.
And I will hope that maybe you can do a educational webinar on compliance, maybe an hour long,
Absolutely.
if you would. I'm starting to try to book out for the remainder of the year, but the platform is slowly growing. I got almost 200 members. My goal is to have 500 by the end of the year, and people posting their jobs, and
Hmm.
people are able to connect with drivers, carriers, and dispatchers for the non-CDL space. So I will be reaching back out to you because I really feel like this is an area that those who are in the box truck space, including myself,
Hmm.
because I talked to somebody like a couple of years ago when my authority was new, and they was like, "Hey, you need to learn about compliance," and I'm like, "How much?"
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
now I got hours of service sitting on my MC when I could have probably avoided that a while
Yeah.
ago and avoided the whole headache of my safety audit and having to write out a whole
Yeah.
plan of action. So
Yeah.
I understand
Yeah.
now the compliance piece of it. So hopefully you can come back and to educate those of us in this community who needs it as well too, and see the benefit of not just looking at that
Absolutely.
dollar sign they're spending, because I was
Yep.
one of
Also,
them.
Telly, I've been trying to put out as much information as I can about this new modus system. Y'all, this motor system is haywire. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I tried to get on earlier this morning to do a chat for one of my clients. Y'all, I was number 459 in line. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to put out, because a lot of people just don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. But I do want to let those know that who are still in question. The FMCSA is not going to shut your company down. You are not going to lose your MC authority. Just be patient. They're trying to get it up and rolling. They're trying to get the kinks worked out. As soon as they get the kinks worked out, I'm updating everybody as I hear something. As I hear something from the FMCSA, I'm updating everybody on this modus system. So be patient, y'all. Be patient, but you
Yeah.
will not lose your authority. Keep on keeping on. Make your money. Do what you need to do. Stay safe. But you will not lose your authority. So
Okay, great. I'm gonna definitely go look for your group and join it. And thank you so much for joining. Please don't jump off immediately, everyone,
okay.
because you know how it's gotta like upload the show and whatnot. But hopefully, people in the box truck community reaches out to you, because compliance is very important, and they're getting much more
Yes.
stricter in this
Yeah.
industry as well too. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, and I will stop
Thank
the
you,
show.
Miss
Welcome.
Davis.
Yes, it was
You're
very,
welcome.
very much informative, and you'll see your face popping up all over my social media. So be prepared. And generally tomorrow I'll email out that your show is live, and you should be able
Okay.
to, if you want to share it or whatever, you'll get that email tomorrow.
All righty.
All right. So
Thank
I
you.
just